Hello, any you do sense in Angus Song Samalaya, I go to some Sunday shredder. Any terrain into the car check in on the Pawo, lower on the lag. Kuzi she worked again. Any chinda kibe, very chicken, a damn skirt at the New York. More don't that. The Yanaminate chat worry. And Delayani, Perkan or Zelenzogi. Kudi Nametone. Any Mame Tongo Dani, and Nangy Mina, Mabuch Patient, Songshin Naya da Digi, Korea Bush Nansha, and Dilangaran Jazz, and so Dikapi, and you know, can't to do his leg, Tabshin and Namatachi Bishay, and Delaya, New York to New Jersey, Mimang, Mamushun, Pianansha, and a Chodakane, Mimam, the name of Pesha Shay, and member Tonzum Chimbo in the Usachilla, and a combated the Kurina what in Taban, a touch a shred, and Namotala, and you don't catch him Bishay, and Mutineserona, Lasoen, Tochana.
The seizure the pay military and I shed. Can you pay water till the Tamatan or so change no dinner? Pay no dinner to pay all the town in the sugar met. Then I told us a day. Also, not up for the social care, you get cheap of the shoe. Or then I told the Manyan company number last night, and then I told the how labor and shot the business can to the church, and then some something to share there, so share. Then I change no dinner soliata, something to share. Then I also get a told the military the Tata chair, she did only a pastor kind of came over to the Tana, and my day the Tamala. Also, Kangati, and Station they get so. She wants this job who does a share. And another month of the Shino was a Papa share the guitar. Never considered the back. Month of 7 number, the lay and Anto Rina consented. Must the party symbol, then I think a little of Julia. Month of Vigil, you go from kind of Tamo with the Consented Chocolate. Month of Mana and another Mugos and Yash, Ya Peter, the international Consumption Sugar. Month of Tede Nasha. Or that the month of the concession of Choco, month of the carrot and no Nonze where chets animal. They pay milk chets, pay Jacob chets. Yachi Jotuna. How about the job which is Goma Carson or Shiji, you wrote the Ari Deng in the Kumbaji, the Moda, and Tana, this is on Deba in the Shambre Das. Chota Kanga pay milk and Resuba in the pay milk and Resuba, yes, there's a Malay, pay milk chet and like a level, pay milk chet the college of Gusson Shire. Then large out of the check so to my kinds of Shuno Constitution Choco, Miri Kana Meba. Any Zamli till Yons Zoba, Chulu Yons Zoba, Miri Yons Zoba, Donza Chidichi, Zamli Shide, Kalena, Chalena, Denegi, and then Sanji, things among other Sanji Maro, Mother Sanjero, no they open her lead water. Things the Matari, the zone of Harishu with the Jana, Conti, pay Miri Choka Sunday, said I'm going to pay me most Zoba. Never pay on Mata Sabbat, the subject hour. Dote Domi Vitan, Yeopi, Matsabe or Kanga. They doesn't tell Mazo Kanga the Pebare, pay Jacob Chitalaka, pay Mirik Chitalaka. Tanda Mazo Kanga tea, Mutu, boy, for Maja Rome, Chono Position, which Kubasa around Mutu. Rama, you also do the Kavach in the Maber, pay Rangzen show which isn't in the Maber South. Just in some Mazo Kanga, Yama Karin is something. Pay Joe in Are, Shitu Chuto in Are, pay Mima in Are. Ganga the Donza Chi the Tarin zone the mother pay Jacob the Millie Dick Chet and other Ganga Salemo, the Donza Chi, pay Mississippi Kitchen Boy, just 10 that Tarin is on the new car show, pay Choga so, change no pay the zone. Choga the children with my job at all. Not pepper in the job, not pepper in. Near Lumba Mayamar, the Kajamaka Ranze Mero, the Ranze Mayamar, Ranze, your shows at that. It's in the ample of Tana. Samala, that Manto Kanga, the Donza Chit, any parents and chit, the Legu, parents and chit, the Chalanet, 2GC, and large Tamujan, and General Yang Zoba, Tati Chalet, and Nasi, Chita, Nibi Chalia, Terry, Cassie, and the language, Shuchan was better in a very Jinsen Teletin, and Manto region to Sophia. Then at that point, on a Sono position of Choke, who took this a Bono, which 그 저거 되게 잘하는 거래. 그래서 소바. 다른 나제게 아니 나도 뒤디고 아니 제 샤도라 소바. 그래서 때문에 전세도 빼면 리준 손처래. 아, 대나제게 대대대. 대나제게 현재서야 리준 빼면 시가 패도 전부 용고. 대자만 기술적으로 싸우는 거 가는 이 말에서 어떻게 되자마자 계속 이거 랭귀지 빼봐. 얘는 랭귀지 진진이 아니 오늘 상계적으로 저거 대신에 아니 같이 오래 다르게 대제 회대 당시에라 소파한테 따는 길 말이지 무튼이 소주 주선고 때 옛날 정서 공사 상계적으로 저거 거기 저거 대신에 수체스 야보시다 자지보다 그래 제가 나중에 아니 제샤로 통해서 소파에서 용수 줘봐게 제샤로 쳐고 거다 대 까고 말이야 냥에 제고 말 같이 그러지 디 처음에 쇼리야 소소 대바 있는데 지세는 때 미리 있어야 돼 제거 좀 있어야 돼 가르쳐도 가르쳐야 돼 디소는 단 거, 그치 거래. 어떻게 해서만 마음반 굳이 투지지 나봐서 간가고 어디 쉬 체스 나오나 생긴 그 쉬야이 가인 쉬와이는 나도 나 대제 계속 랭귀지 시나고 계속 빼봐 얘는 같이 빼고 나라 사야 말아 나 제네 말아 나 돈이지는 말아 이 제거 딜체 빼고 배 제거 딜체 배 제거 딜 체 빼고 해도 지선 배 제거 딜 아, 얘가도 간가 못을 제고 그럼 우리가 계속 전전 찍어 냥에 질렀다. 냥에 보면 냥에 같이 보래. 냥에 지기나 같이 보래. 니 그래와서 니 외국 시장에 있어. 그 무슨 뭐. 그 무슨 얘들아 외국 쇼도. 그 무슨 그 조려고. 그 같이 보고 만조 가는 매사 용서받아 같이 매버려. 란젠 매비지. 란젠 쇼비지 센터. 맞아 란젠 쇼비지 센터다. 란젠 라바 이거 나도 반가요. 대사만 나도 가지고 란세고 란세시에도 같이 강가도 가지고 그 강가도 무슨 깔려줘로 나서 쉬어요 배란세 제로 배란세 제로 다시 될
Share a few words with us tonight. Good evening. My name is Sonam Children, and Pawo Lobga Rangzen was my uncle. His name was Lobsang then, but we know, loved, and remember him as Lobga Rangzen. He was born in Zakop Tihor in occupied Tibet. After escaping into exile, he dedicated his life to the cause of Tibet. He organized protests, led marches, walks, educational sessions, and car rallies, and knocked on the doors of those in power, lobbied elected officials, mobilized our community, and never stopped fighting for Tibet's independence. For my uncle, Tibet was not a cause, it was his life's purpose. He lived for Tibet every single day, and in the end, he gave his life for Tibet. On July 2nd, my uncle walked to the United Nations dressed in traditional Tibetan clothing and carrying a Tibetan national flag. He planted that flag firmly and raised the words, "Free Tibet" and "China out of Tibet," even when his body was engulfed in flames. Through his final act, my uncle awakened something powerful. He reminded Tibetans everywhere that we share one homeland, one history, and one responsibility. And his message to the Chinese government was clear, that we have not forgotten who we are or our land, our language, our faith, and our history. And our 70 years of occupation and repression have not broken the Tibetan spirit. For more than 7 decades, China has waged a relentless campaign to erase Tibet as a nation. For more than 1.5 million Tibetans have died under occupation. Thousands of monasteries have been destroyed. Over 1 million Tibetan children have been separated from their families and placed in colonial boarding school and designed to strip away their language, culture, and identity. Tibetans are imprisoned for peaceful expression. Religious freedom is tightly controlled. nomads have been forcibly removed from their ancestral land, and Tibetan language is being systematically replaced, and an entire generation are being pressured to abandon who they are. Yet, despite decades of repression, Tibetans have suffered while the world remained silent. 171 Tibetans have self-immolated, crying out for freedom and begging the world to witness what is happening inside Tibet. Their sacrifices were not acts to be forgotten. These are the highest level of non-violent political protest that appeal for justice, dignity, and survival of our nation. And to my Tibetan brothers and sisters, we now carry our responsibility. Let us continue to stand together to protect our identity and remember the words of martyrs, and continue to struggle for the cause they gave their lives to, and to bring back His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama back to Potala Palace in a free and independent Tibet. Pegalo! Perangzegalo! Perangzegalo! Lobga Rangzen, I humbly request her to come forward and read his final testimony for us.
Pawo Rangzen's final testimony and appeal before his ultimate sacrifice. This is translated in English. Quote, "What I want to say is that Communist China's policies and activities in Tibet are targeted at completely destroying the Tibetan people. I have nothing to say towards the Tibetan people inside Tibet. They have been working sincerely to preserve our spoken language, religion, and culture, and revive all that has declined. Their efforts are very noteworthy. Therefore, I want to thank them. I don't have anything else to say to them. But I want to share my opinion to those of us in exile. If we don't do anything for the struggle of our people, we'll get nothing. I want to say that those of us in exile, we need to work harder. We are very grateful to His Holiness the Dalai Lama for giving us democracy, which he handed to us without us having to make any effort. Even though we said that we do not want it, His Holiness the Dalai Lama granted us standard-worthy democracy. His Holiness's gift of democracy is not for us to have internal disunity, but to continue the struggle of the Tibetan people and Tibet as a nation in the hope that there will be advancement. In particular, His Holiness has said in the past that those of us living in exile, without arguing about our province or religious denominations, we should think of ourselves as Tibetans. I am Tibetan. I am a Tibetan. Some of us say that we do not have independence. It's not that we do not have independence. We have independence, but the independence is lost. We have to get it back. Therefore, we Tibetans in exile must unite and continue the struggle for the independence of Tibet. I want to appeal with folded hands our exile community to work towards this. Secondly, today, if I undertake a major action on account of that example, in the next few days, His Holiness the Dalai Lama's 90th way possible. Likewise, those who are performing songs and dances should continue to do so. They should not stop them. They should not mourn. What they need to do, in addition to considering that one is a Tibetan, one should see what can be done for the Tibetan people and nation. It is important to think in this way. Therefore, I appeal all of you to work even harder. Today, if I engage in an alarming activism, it's not that I do not have food, clothes, or out of depression. I do it for the Tibetan nation. Since I'm doing it for the cause of Tibet nation, whatever is necessary to be done for the cause of the Tibet nation must all be continued. I don't want you to mourn for me. Instead, there should be a continuation of my hope and appeal. Please consider my appeal. Whatever we say we do not have, what's the reason for that? The source of all this is, therefore, what we need is independence. And for that, all of us should continue the struggle. Victory to independence of Tibet, victory to Tibet. Pegalo! Perangzengalo! Pegalo! Perangzengalo! Pegalo!
For Lobga Rangzen's portrait, I would like to request Jimmy Wangyal, President of TNC, to offer a scarf for them for their contribution. If you want to know more about them, you can go visit their website. It's called www.tibetlearning.com. Please search for that for more information. We are honored to welcome distinguished leaders from our city who have just joined tonight to pay their respect. Please join me in welcoming TLC Commissioner Valdivia, Assistant Commissioner Chan Jr., Lieutenant Abu Rade, as they step forward to lead our candle and honor the memory and portrait for Pawo Rangzen. Please welcome them.
여기 사업중 소식 바로 신어. 조마산. Thank you so much.
We are deeply honored to have Assembly Member Catalina Cruz representing Queens District 39. Assembly Member Cruz, podium is yours.
Our friends from Tibet. I would have to acknowledge that it is very difficult to come to this stage and to come up with any words to share with you. Because if it is a protest, we could rally to the Chinese embassy, we could change, we could see like what CCP down. But the context of this rally is just too heavy. With a dear Tibetan community member engaging in self-immolation, even myself, I think it takes time to process. And I can't even imagine like what is the most appropriate word to show support, to walk alongside with our Tibetan friends. I think that's my biggest concern. I think like my presence today is not to like a rally for any action, because I feel like I'm in no position to do that, because like, well, each of you being here today, being present at a Times Square, waving a flag, chanting Pawo Lobga Rangzen's theme, is already exemplifying the spirit of our dear friend who want all of us to continue the fight until the day CCP is down, until the day Tibet is free. I remember the day when our dear friend engaged in self-immolation. I was actually technically about to schedule an interview to talk to one of the Tibetan.
Honor the life. I want to make sure that I'm honoring his name by pronouncing it correctly, so feel free to correct me. Pawo Lobga Rangzen. Okay, I did it correctly. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel coming here and seeing so many people honoring his sacrifice today. It tugs at your heart because it makes you think of the life that he led, the life that you had to leave behind, and the life that many people of Tibet are still living. I was asked to chant something, and I want you to follow me when I say it.
Okay.
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
You come to this country in search of opportunity and that freedom that was denied to you in the country that you were born in, and we are going to call it a country no matter what China tries to do or say. That is his sacrifice, that was his ask, and that is how we are going to treat you. I represent Elmhurst, where he called it home, where he worked, where he fought, and we are going to miss him in our neighborhood. And the only thing I ask of you today is to continue to do this. Show up for the people of Tibet. Show up for him. Show up for fighting for a free Tibet. Thank you for the honor of being a part of this beautiful demonstration of love toward his sacrifice into the country that called you Tibetan. You will always be Tibetan. Thank you. May he rest in the peace that was denied to him in the country where he was born. Thank you. Thank you. Free Tibet.
Free Tibet! It's been a really, really difficult time for me. Because Lobga, he had many friends in the Tibetan community. But he and I, politically, for the sake of Tibetan independence, for activism, we were best buddies. Nearly every day he would come and he'd have some idea, sometimes a mad idea, sometimes a good one. So I mean, it's really hard for me to say very much. You know, the day that he passed away, I get this call from Vigil, and the police want to see me. They say, who's in charge? And I'm the founder of the Tibetan National Congress. He's the president. So naturally, these two detectives, you know, we go to the morgue at Bellevue, and they want to know what happened. And I said, officers, I want you to understand that this was not a deranged person. This was not someone who was intoxicated. This was someone who was making a political statement, a statement for Tibetan independence. And I said, the same way we call our organization the Tibetan National Congress is taken from the American National Congress that declared America's independence and the independence of so many other countries in the world that happened after that. So I'm not going to, I don't want to talk too much about his life and things, but I just wanted to say, essentially I'm a writer. So you can check out I've written a number of articles on it. It's on Shadow Tibet, the blog post that I have. And you can go there, but I just want to read. I don't have the words for it, but there's a great Tibetan poet, a young woman living in Australia at the moment, but she was from Amdo, from the
Our friends from Tibet. I will have to acknowledge that it is very difficult to come to this stage and to come up with any words to share with you. Because if it is a protest, we could rally to the Chinese embassy, we could change, we could see like what CCP down. But the context of this rally is just too heavy. With a dear Tibetan committee member, engaging in self-immolation, even I myself, I think it takes time to process. And I can't even imagine what is the most appropriate word to show support, to walk alongside with our Tibetan friends. I think that's my biggest concern. I think my presence today is not to a rally for any action, because I feel like I'm in no position to do that, because each of you being here today, being present at a Times Square, waving your flag, chanting Pawo Lobga Rangzen's theme, is already exemplifying the spirit of our dear friend who want all of us to continue the fight until the day CCP is down, until the day Tibet is free. I remember the day when our dear friend engaged in self-immolation. I was actually technically about to schedule an interview to talk to one of the Tibetans.
That I will be traveling here. I couldn't sleep for hours, and just as now, tears falling. Finally, this morning I wake up, my pillow is totally wet. So much for my feeling. I know this is in everybody's heart in Tibet and in and outside Tibet. To follow us. Our main purpose for being here is also to remember those who have already given their lives, about 170. We have a long list. And we have asked upcoming young from our Sunday school kids, because of time, we won't be going into details. They will simply say their names and read about 20-30 names of those who passed away without giving any details because of time. But I must tell you, all those who died for Tibet as young as 17.
Longchuk, Kayang, Chopel, Yogu Damdo, Tenzin Wangyal, Dawat Sireng, Baojin Chutso, Rongza Tenzin Punso, Tenyi, Sojun.
Sacrifice of martyr Lobga Rangzen, our neighbor here in New York. I am so proud as an assembly member in Western Queens to represent Woodside, Jackson Heights, Elmhurst, one of the largest Tibetan communities here in the state of New York. And in our community, we know that we must fight for a free Tibet. Here in Queens and across our 5 boroughs, we know that human rights must be universal. We know that no matter where we live in this earth, that human rights are rights for everyone, and we cannot forget that. So, we must not forget that just because of our
gathered here tonight, we come together in grief. On July 2nd, in front of the United Nations, Lobga Rangzen self-immolated and tragically passed shortly thereafter. He was a native of Kardza, a devoted monk, and above all, he was a son of Tibet. He came to the United States in 2006 and spent nearly 20 years engaged in selfless activism on behalf of his people, refusing to let the world look away from his homeland. Tonight we mourn him, and we hold his family and all who love him in our hearts. While we grieve, we also cherish the call in Lobga's final message, where he said he did not want our mourning. He wanted us to redouble our effort, strengthen our unity, and raise the Communist Party's so-called ethnic unity and progress law came into effect, giving legal cover to what Beijing has pursued for inside Tibet, for exactly that, for their resilience and bravery despite the extraordinary risks. And he reminded Tibetans in exile and their supporters that we are their voice
in places they cannot reach, like this one. That is why our activists get up together with unity, with purpose, and with a resolute determination to fight for what is right. Long live His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. We'll do two more. Long live His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Long live His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Thank you.
And thank you for everyone showing up here today. I am deeply honored to stand beside the Tibetan community as we remember Pawo Lobga Rangzen and the sacrifice he made to stand against the Chinese Communist Party's brutalities. He understood something many of the governments refused to acknowledge. When the world remains silent in the face of oppression, it's courageous individuals who bear the burden of defending the freedom. Lobga Rangzen's final act was a powerful plea to humanity to recognize and confront the Chinese Communist Party's systematic destruction of Tibetan people, culture, religion, and their fundamental rights. As an Uyghur woman, I recognize Beijing's strategy all too well. What it has done to the Uyghurs, it has done to the Tibetan people, systematically erasing identity, criminalizing their faith, and destroying the foundations of ancient civilizations. This is not ethnic unity. It's genocide by another word. For me, this is not a political issue. It is deeply personal. Almost 8 years ago, when the Chinese Communist Party disappeared more than 1 million innocent people into the concentration camps, 24 members of my husband's family who's standing with me.
When I saw footage of his self-immolation posted online, I could not believe my eyes. Like so many of you, I felt so many emotions all at once. Shock, horror, sadness, frustration, anger. For those who knew him best, who worked alongside him day after day, month after month in New York and beyond, I know these last weeks have been an overwhelming roller coaster of emotions. Our compatriots in this struggle are the ones who understand us best. Both our motivation, our hope, our sadness, our deepest frustrations. Every time they take action and they show up, they give us the encouragement to keep showing up too. Pawo Lobga Rangzen was always taking action, always showing up. His absence will be felt by you most acutely. And to his friends, his family, and to the community here in New York City who knew him so well, on behalf of Tibet Action, me, my family, my husband, and my 3 boys are here, I offer my deepest condolences. It's hard for people, most people, to understand even a single act. Even if China were to succeed in cutting the mother tongue from Tibetan children and turning them against their identity for a time, this next generation will ultimately find their sent to the inland boarding schools in China did. They may have to struggle to reclaim their identity, but that struggle will only make them stronger and more resilient.
Life and sacrifice of our dear friend Lobga Rangzen. I had the privilege of knowing Lobga for many years. We stood together at number of protests, demonstrations, conferences, and human rights events, raising our voices for Tibet, Southern Mongolia, East Turkestan, and all oppressed people. He is a man of unwavering courage, compassion, and conviction. Like many of you, I was deep under nearly 8 decades of Chinese settler colonialism. Our language is being eliminated from education. Our culture is being erased. Our nomadic way of life has been fundamentally altered. Our grassland and environment have been devastated. Our national identity is under relentless assault. In Tibet, Tibetan culture and religion face severe repression, while political freedom and the right of self-determination remain denied. In East Turkestan, Uyghurs have endured mass detention, family separation, and pervasive repression. One of the greatest tragedies of our time is that political and economic interests too often prevent the international community from recognizing and confronting mass atrocities.
Talk to our neighbors.
어다 니노 다른 니노 다랑 잠자 줘보지 아니 다른 템 스콜이야 다 멤버 도도 친구들이 길이야 아니 레림 코티 나와디 인다만 토지 쉐이 멤 아니 칼롭 소신 나기도 정말 인지도네 나와서다 다 고도 친구 시도에 저와 친구 시도 아 중소엔 도잖아 아니 지명이도 나 제수